My name is Buck Haley. My real name is Albert Bradley Haley. The Albert part goes all the way back on both of my families. My daddy was named Albert. My grandfathers, both of them were named Albert, and their fathers was named Albert. I was born in Lebanon, Tennessee. I didn't live there very long because my father was a military officer in the Army. I was real fortunate to be born in the Army because I had a good life. And the most amazing thing about my childhood was how I was able to go to Japan in 1947, 2 years after World War II. My father was in the Hawaiian Islands when Japan bombed the Hawaiian Islands. He was injured, but he was able to stay in the military till he passed away. But the process of me going to Japan, we were fortunate because we were on the second load of dependents of military personnel to go to Japan after World War II. We went on a big troop ship. We docked at Yokohama, Japan, which is right next to Tokyo. My father had a detachment over there that were with the occupation forces in the Army, because after the war, the Army had to take over, as well as the government, Japan, with the guarantee that they wouldn't have any more hostilities either way, which it worked out that way. So we were able to go over there as dependents in the military, as I mentioned. They had a school set up for military personnel that all the Army and the Air Force people over there, children went to this school, elementary or high school, whichever age you were. We lived at a place called Camp Drake, Japan. It was in a place that they have prefectures over there. They don't have counties. They do have cities, but the prefecture we lived in was Naramos. It was just an area where Camp Drake was, where all the Army personnel were that were stationed in Japan. The interesting thing that I had a hard time getting used to was they use human waste over there for fertilizer. They literally keep it in 5-gallon buckets that they would sit on, and then after they used it, they would put it on the side of the road, and oxen, a big type of cow, one or two of them would pull these wagons that they would literally dump these buckets in this big wagon. And they would save it and use it for fertilizer. That's the only kind of fertilizer they had. And the amazing thing about the vegetables and things they would grow with this fertilizer, they could grow carrots that were 2 and 3 feet long. Now a lot of those things they call one of their primary foods was called daikon. It was kind of like a carrot, but it was a great big long white thing that they loved to eat them. And I had a hard time learning to eat stuff that had human waste on it. But the human waste part is interesting to me. I, like most other little boys, had a bad habit of misbehaving in school. I know you wouldn't believe that, but I did. But one day I had to stay after school. But the coincidence was I rode my bicycle to school that day. Where we lived on the military base, there was a little dirt airstrip that the small planes would land on. Across that was rice paddies. I'm sure most of you have seen rice paddies, but unbeknownst to you, these rice paddies were covered with human waste. That was their fertilizer. But right beside the rice paddies, there would be a place as big as a living room that was full of probably 5,000 gallons of human waste. I don't remember what I did, but I had to stay after school one day. It was nearly dark. I got on my bicycle because it wasn't real far from where we lived. I started across those rice paddies and it was dark and I lost my way. I drove my bicycle off in that human waste, 10 feet deep. I was completely covered with it. I got out of the tank. I never did get in my bicycle. I've never seen it again. Probably wouldn't want it anyway. But I walked across this little airfield My dad was sitting on the front porch having him a cool drink. He spotted me and he said he could smell me coming. He made me strip off in the yard and hose me down to get all that stuff off of me. Well, that was one of the funniest things I guess that's ever happened to me. But it was a wonderful life over there. We stayed over there for 6 years. After we left Japan, we came back, lived at Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania. That's where the Army War College is, where the colonels and generals go now to learn to fight wars. My dad was an instructor up there, and that's where I ended up going to school. And how much more time we got?
You're good.
That enough?
That's enough.
Okay.
We're at 6 minutes.
Huh?
We're at 6 minutes.
6 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I don't know whether that's what you wanted, any good or not, but that was basically.
That's perfect. Now I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So how many years did you spend in the military in all?
I was only in the Army 4 years. My dad was there in there nearly 30 years. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in the military. I'd had enough of it.
How many years did you spend in camps?
In what?
In camps.
In camp.
Camps. Like Army camps.
Did you go to West Point?
Oh, well, I was born and raised, I was born in Lebanon, Tennessee. From there, we went to Fort Benning, Georgia.